When and how did Batman fly into your life?
Insidiously, about a year ago. I was in New York on a routine business trip, and the vice president in charge of program development at ABC, a bright young man named Doug Kramer, asked me to have lunch with him. And he told me that ABC had recently bought the rights to Batman, not knowing exactly what to do with it or how to do it, just having a kind of seat-of-the-pants hunch that it might be a good television series. And he asked me if I would be interested in producing it in my company at 20th Century Fox. And I was a little taken aback because I had never had a Batman comic book in my hands. I, of course, was aware that there was such a thing, but I'd never read one. When they came out in 1938 or 39, I had an 8-9-year-old son, and I was busy making a living for him and his mother and myself, and I wasn't reading comic books at that time. So I bought about a dozen of them, and it took a bit of doing to get some of the older ones, and they cost $3-4 a piece. And I took them on the plane with me and flew back to Hollywood. And I was sitting in an aisle seat doing my homework with 5 or 6 copies in my lap and reading one, not thinking how this would look to somebody. And sure enough, a friend of mine in the ad agency business in New York who was on the same flight tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Well, I guess those scripts do get dull after a while." And I couldn't tell him why I had a lap full of comic books, because it was a big secret, this approaching series. So then after a day or so, the fairly obvious idea, it seems obvious now at least, to make it so square and so serious and so cliche-ridden and so overdone, and yet do it with a certain elegance and style that it would be funny, that it would be so corny and so bad that it would be funny. That appealed to me, and I then began to enjoy it, and I began to enjoy working on it, and I got a writer who shared this belief with me, a young man named Lorenzo Semple, a Yale graduate, very erudite young writer, but who also was quick to want to relive his childhood, as I guess I was doing.
What do you think is its basic appeal? I'm talking about the original Bob Kane creation. In the escape tradition?
I think that's it, total escapism. I think that youngsters particularly, and I find that a number of adults read the comic books. They will deny it, but they do read them sometimes. But its big audience are kids from 6 to 12 about. And it's total escapism and a feeling of daring do and bravura, They all want to feel like giants when they're that age, boys and girls, and this gives them an opportunity to be giants when they read this. They get transported into this world of imagery and unreality.